Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have a badass entrepreneur, and you're going to find some interesting characteristics and some common themes here from another couple people we've interviewed here on the show, and we'll get into that briefly. But Tony Carlston, born and raised on the Pacific Northwest, is an entrepreneur who founded Cutco Closing Gifts and has done over $100 million in sales. Founded Branding Tools, Inc., which is an engraving company that employs 50 people in Vancouver, Washington, and is owner and CEO of Best Day of My Life, Inc. Man, Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, I really feel like I failed as a parent. I have two grown kids, 20 and 24, and, you know, I was always searching for those things that I needed to pass along to them in order to make them ultra successful or at least financially secure. And I wish I'd learned this word 20 years ago. Cutco. What is up with you guys? I've had the gentleman from Giftology on. I had Brad Weinhardt.
Brad Weinhardt, yeah.
Man, what's in the water that they teach you guys? I mean, you guys are all super studs.
Well, you bet on some of the best of the best. Cutco is a premier opportunity for college kids across the country, has been for decades and decades. And I think what's great about the company is it's a true reflection of who you are at the time, but there's an unlimited growth opportunity. You can really take it wherever you want to go. So that I've been with them 20 years now. I started selling knives when I was 17. In my senior year of high school, I made like $45,000. And when you're 17 and live at home and have no bills, it could have been $100 million. It felt like I was making all the money in the world, and really changing that paradigm of trading time for money. And instead of that, getting paid for a result is really what's shaped my career, and a lot of the John Rulins that you've had on, and Brad Weimarts and others.
Yeah, and what's the secret? What do they teach you?
Well, it's, you know, the interesting thing is, regardless of what you're going to go into, unless you're going to work in a factory, you're going to work with people. So it's really a communication job. You start with people you know and you practice. Of course, the Cutco product is world class, and that's awesome, because if it was hard to sell, they wouldn't gather up a bunch of college kids to do it. The product really does sell itself. But at its essence, what is sales? It's just a transfer of enthusiasm. So they really teach you a presentation, a demonstration. They teach you how to do and book your appointments. They teach you how to ask for referrals, and they teach you how to do the phone time and set up more appointments and be accountable and time management. And they really teach you entrepreneurship, but within the confines of some great products, of course, and with also some programs that show you exactly how to do it. Because Cutco's been around since 1949, guaranteed American-made knives, super high quality. So a lot of people already own the product. It's really well known, and everyone loves it. So that's one nice thing about it. It really builds your confidence, and then you start building momentum, and then you get paid for a result, and then it gets exciting. And then you really realize you can do whatever you want with this. And, you know, that's where, you know, Cutco Closing Gifts actually came to be.
And, you know, what I love, too, is that you know, part of the process, I've never seen it happen. No one's ever pitched me. So, you know, if you're out there, you know, find me. I could use some knives. I'm a bachelor, so, you know, I don't know what I have here. But you actually go through a demonstration and show how the knives actually work. So it's not just talking about it, you're actually showing and demonstrating that. And what I'm really impressed with is the level and the commitment to the training. And I see so often in today's businesses, as I work with entrepreneurs, it's like, you know, we get somebody to come through the front door, we give them the employee manual, and then we go, okay, read my mind, good luck, see ya.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
It doesn't. And that's how I don't want to say most, but that's how a lot of people are trained, especially in sales, like figure it out. And people don't have any background in that, and they are expected to figure out something that the chance of them figuring out is zero. So they have to have a clear, they give you a manual day one here. Like, go read this. Don't even do it your own way. Just read this, get used to the fundamentals. And then you get the fun stuff. You start cutting food, you start doing fun stuff and appointments, and people like it. You get referrals, builds your confidence, you start getting promotions, they recognize you, you can start getting great pay, and then you really start getting addicted to the lifestyle and the flexibility. So the company has been fantastic to work for. Like I said, 2 full decades here at this point and going strong.
And what's the secret to the gifting piece for you? Your company?
So great question. So actually, John Rulin, who wrote Giftology, I saw him speak at an event years and years ago, maybe 13 years ago, and he was just talking about business gifting in general. And I was like, well, that's really neat, because the main problem we have with Cutco is when people buy it, they never actually need it again. Even if it breaks, we just give you new stuff. And when you're the salesperson, that's a super hard metric to figure out, because we all have the same amount of time in the day. So he was talking about selling to lumber companies and builders and these other things. So I went out and I sold to some, and that went pretty well. But then I started working with and selling to realtors and loan officers, because the orders were smaller, but they were all giving gifts consistently. And what happened was I started getting really great success with that. And we were selling them like a 5-month supply of gifts on the 5-pay, and people would they'd give out their gifts and then they would reorder. And my 3rd year of doing that, my sales were like 100,000 more than the second rep in the country for the year. And people all of a sudden said, what are you doing? So I said, well, I'll put together like a kit that I'll sell. And so I put together like a little Tony Robbins kit, and I was going to sell it out. I had like 50 or 60 pre-orders. And right before I shipped, Cutco got wind of it and said, we like what you're doing, but maybe we want to get involved. Can you just wait? I'm like, okay. So they flew out their head of marketing. We met, and then I flew out and met with them. We started with a real life partnership, and we launched. At the same time, they decided to take a step away from the engraving piece. So they said, well, build this, and at the same time, the engraving piece isn't super profitable for us. We're going to have to pay people less and whatnot. That was a challenge at the time. So my stepdad, I had him retire from American Steel. He was a factory worker, and start engraving my orders only in his garage, in my mom's garage. And as the program started to scale out, and it did pretty quickly, within a couple years, it went to like 2 million, and then 4 million, and then 6 million, and then 10 million, and then 12.3 million in annual sales, then 14.2, and it was growing. But all of these people had a demand for engraving too. And I never intended to be in a national program. I run that. I never intended on having an engraving business, but it was a product of necessity. So we started buying more engraving equipment. We got like 4 engraving machines and 9 employees. My stepdad said, I didn't sign up for this. Get me out of this. So I said, all right. So I bought him out. And then we moved into our first suite here at our world headquarters. And we moved out of there. We started here, and since then has grown. We now employ just under 50 employees here. We have 18 engraving machines. We engrave about 1,000 knives a day, 5 days a week, 2 shifts. And we do warehousing. We do all this stuff on that side of things. And then, so with Cutco, my job's really split 3 ways. I oversee the program for North American sales development. I have about 100 plus sales reps across the country that sell specifically Cutco as a closing gifts to realtors and lenders. Mm-hmm. And then my second piece is I own and operate Branding Tools, which is the engraving company that does the majority of the engraving for the United States for that product. And then, of course, I still am a rep here in the Portland, Vancouver area, and we serve about 1,000 clients in this area and sell, I don't know, $250,000 to $300,000 to the local market here in Portland as well. So as far as the Cutco piece is concerned, that's kind of my 3 roles with the company. But it's been, and we've done 100 million in sales with Cutco Closing Gifts now, and every year is continuing to grow. And you know, what we found is the realtors and loan officers love giving a gift that is useful. It sticks around. They can write it off as advertising, but most importantly, it's not a consumable. Most everybody gives consumables. People really like them, but then they're gone in a week or a month. Yeah. And when you give someone a high quality knife, nobody gets rid of it. People don't get rid of any knives, let alone good knives. Yeah. You talk to older people, they don't just have 1 drawer full of knives, they have 2 drawers full of knives, because nobody gets rid of anything. So when you give Cutco as a gift, that's what happens. People use it, they like it, they talk about it with their friends, and it is the best branding tool there is out there, in my opinion, that I've seen in terms of usefulness and quality.
Yeah, you know, you want something that sticks around. When I was in the insurance business, I had a wholesale operation, and I got a whole bunch of these old style fire alarms where it has the glass, where you kind of break the glass and you pull the.
Oh, cool.
So it had the glass, it had the little hammer thing, and I put a cell phone behind it, old cell phone.
Yeah.
That, in an emergency, need a quote, break the glass and call. And of course, what did everybody do? They put them in their offices. So people would walk in. Fun. It was like much better than just a business card, but ended up nowhere. You want something where other people walked in and said, "That's kind of unique."
Yeah.
Come up with something that they always have out and showing. Well, man, what I really want to dive into, first of all, congratulations on what you've built there. But, man, you've got a third business now. I want to hear where this thing came from. Every time I just talk about it, my best day of my life. One of the things that has always annoyed me, when people say, "Hey, how you doing?" "Okay, good." "How things going?" "All right." It just so flat. But as soon as you say the best day of my life, I mean, it's just a whole different vibration.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
All right. So where best day of my life came from, my top rep personally of all time, his name is Adam. And he lives in Southern California. And one day he just called me and we were just having a normal conversation. He's like, "Hey, how's your day?" And I'm just like, best day of my life. And he just liked the saying. So he just started saying it when people would ask him. We pick up a lot of sayings from our friends. And his girlfriend at the time decided to go to like a t-shirt shop and put it on a t-shirt for him and his two roommates. Just kind of like a fun gag gift. So they start wearing these best day of my life shirts out. And what happens is it starts conversation immediately. People are like, "Is it? Why? Are you just positive?" It starts conversation. And then that key indicator started happening, that key question, "Well, where do I get one?" And they're like, "It's not a thing. It's just And so anyways, they went and they looked and the trademark was available, which I found mind-boggling. So they got the trademark, hired an attorney, got that done. And then they bought the URL, bestdayofmylife.com on GoDaddy for $40. How is that possible? I don't know. So they got the Instagram, they got the Facebook. Now on the care instructions in the shirt, they're actually printed on all of our stuff. It says, "Wear a shirt, have the best day of your life, take pictures, share with us on Facebook or Instagram here." So it perpetuates the movement and people share their pictures and what they're doing. So what they did is they decided to do an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. And they sold $10,000 of shirts in 5 days. People loved it. And so they started shipping the shirts off. People loved it. But then guess what happened? They had no product to sell because they ran a big thing just to ship, but they had no inventory. They had no warehouse. They had nothing to do. They just got overwhelmed, so they did nothing, and it just sat. And people wanted to buy stuff. They're like, "Yeah, we don't have stuff, sorry." So it sat, and consistently for 4 years, I tried and pleaded, and I was like, "Just sell me the company. Just tell me the number. I'll pay. Just give it to me. Let me do something with it." And after 4 years, they finally said, "We're really never going to do anything with this." One was a musician, one was in grad school, one just had another job, one just had a baby. And they sold me the company, and then we relaunched. And since the relaunch, things have been going crazy awesome. So we launched with real product in a real warehouse. So we use our facility here. We've grown the Instagram following just in a few months from 2,000 up to 6,500, and that continues to grow every day. We're in 15 stores now. We got picked up by a college, Marquette University. We do co-branded product with them. Ducati in Portland, when you buy a new motorcycle, you get a custom one. You take your picture in the red room. So really people wear the best day of my life stuff for one of two reasons. Some people are just positive, right? They just like positive wear. And the other people is they're event-based. So maybe they're getting married. We have a wedding set. You wear it the day you're getting ready for your wedding. Or maybe it's a baby onesie for the day you're born. By default, the best day of your life. Maybe you bought a motorcycle and skydiving. The list goes on and on. But there's a couple things that are important to us. So the saying is important, and the trademark is important because it perpetuates positivity. And it's hard to have a bad day when you leave the house wearing something that says "best day of my life." You're kind of setting your intention for the day. Also, what's important to us is about our mission. We figure purchasing with a purpose is very successful, and we can do a lot of good with our sales. So we support a charity called Front Row Foundation. And they're a charity, and what they do is they take critically ill people and put them in the front row of an event of their choice. Any event, anywhere, and they send a whole video crew, they make a whole production, and approximately 50% of those people make it, 50% don't. So 10% of all of our proceeds go to Front Row Foundation, which helps people have the best day of their life. is a fantastic organization. He's the guy that founded that, is also an ex-Cutco guy. He's been out for a long time, but very great guy. John Vroman, he travels the country and speaks to schools and whatnot. But in a nutshell, we have t-shirts, we have hoodies, we have tank tops, hats, baby onesies, different things, but it's just positive apparel. We also we're a fundraising platform for charities. So if anyone's listening and wants to raise money for any charity, you can get a hold of us. We can set up a code, and then when sales are driven from that code, we'll give 50% of the money right back to the charity. So it's a great fundraising tool for people as well.
50% of the gross.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. What's next with the company?
So we're launching, we're getting into more stores, and then we're focusing on sports right now too, and then kids clothes and pet clothes are about to come out. We also own the trademark Best Night of My Life. I bought that as well. So that's going to roll out in probably 6 months, and that'll be really popular in like Vegas gift shops and for bachelor parties and whatnot. But it's interesting. I've been in the same type of career for decades, and to start something new, it gets that fire in the belly, that entrepreneur, because you don't know anything. I never sold a t-shirt before, right? The sales process, while similar, is very different in terms of what works and what doesn't work. So right now it's about being strategic on our tests and seeing what's working, what's not working, what product. We went and did the Rose Festival here in Portland. It's a big carnival thing. And we went to that, and we found out that like everybody wants black shirts. Now anybody in apparel just knows that. We didn't know anything. So we launched black shirts. Now it's 50% of our sales is black shirts. Wow. Also getting into co-branding opportunities with speakers. Hal Elrod wrote Miracle Morning. He's a past Cutco guy. We did a Miracle Morning version. Cutco, of course, is a huge customer of ours. We do Cutco co-branded ones. They give out at conferences and whatnot. So it's getting into partnerships. It's really seeing where it goes. Our first full-time salesperson starts tomorrow morning, which will be really exciting because it goes so many directions that we just need someone dedicated to sales. There's a lot of noise and a lot of things going on, but at the end of the day, sales and revenue are what matters. We're a for-profit business. I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget what they're doing, and they're more excited about doing things than making money. Profit and leading with revenue is important to me, especially at this stage of the business, and just seeing where it goes. But it's exciting. We're also getting into things we never intended. Just like I got into engraving, never thought that would be a thing. Yeah. We're getting into private label. So we're going to companies, telling them about Best Day, and they're like, wow, do you want to just make our hoodies for us anyways? So that's happened. So there's a vineyard now in Malibu that we make their hats and their hoodies for them, just their product. But since we have a manufacturing relationship, we can handle that. So it's interesting to see where it goes with the co-branding, with the private label, and just selling the product, of course, as well. And as a gift, we're getting into our first holiday season as a true company. But what's really cool is watching people wear it, the response they get, and the conversations it starts. It's always a positive conversation when you ask someone, hey, tell me about the best day of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the best Christmas of my life, the best Easter of my life, the best morning of my life. I mean, you got like an endless array of things that you can branch into.
Right.
It's my best boyfriend of my life, best girlfriend of my life.
Yeah. It's one of those interesting products because it sparks conversation. It's really fun. And what I like most about the company is it's fully positive. So when you're dealing with something called Best Day of My Life, there's no negativity involved in it. The people that are negative stay away from it or buy it as an ironic thing because they're just a grouch. Yeah. But for the most part, people are just really positive and they like the message. And I just love the conversations to start. And then what's also important to us, we print on super high quality blanks. So we use Bella Canvas, which has been around forever. It's really high quality, and Toltecs for our hoodies. And so when people wear our products, they're not only high quality and comfortable, but they end up being their favorites. And then it has the message on it as well. So it's fun to be back in the learning process of entrepreneurship. Not that there's not always more to learn in every business, but once you've done 100 million in sales, you've figured out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
the Cutco piece. At this point, we sold a couple $100,000 worth of best day stuff. We're just getting going. We don't know what we don't know. So it's fun to be involved in something so new and so fresh, but at the same time, trending in a really good direction and something that people resonate with. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you were open to, the idea of the gifts came from John. The idea for this came from, somebody else. Like, that's a great idea. I think I'll end up doing that. I think entrepreneurs get into this rut so often of like, all right, I've got to sit down. I've got to figure out this, this best idea. I've got to come up with this process. If something's working, just model it. Or in your case, just buy it.
Sure. And for us, that business was Life is Good. Life is Good has been around 23 years, started by two surfers in a van in Boston, driving around, selling their t-shirts. And that company does $100 million a year in revenue now. It's in 4,500 stores.
Wow.
And, it's really, I feel like we're that, but for the next generation. What is social media at its core? It's people talking about or pretending to have the best day of their lives. That's what they're showing, right? Yeah. Very few people are putting stuff out there that's super negative. So most people are showing the best day of their lives, and it tends to resonate, especially with the younger generation. Also, 1 year after they were granted the trademark, American Authors came out with the song Best Day of My Life, which of course was very helpful. 200 million views or something on YouTube. So how we ended up the Cutco spreader baron in Vancouver, Washington, owning the Best Day of My Life apparel company is beyond understanding, but we're going to take it and just keep rolling with it.
It's your best day of your life, man.
Every day.
Well, yeah, and the other one, life is good. I mean, who wants good? I mean, life is great. Life is amazing. Life is, look, you're comparing life is good with the best day of my life. I mean, it's not even a comparison. Come on.
The great thing about t-shirts and apparel too is not only do people buy it for gifts, but it really is an interesting thing because it's not like buying a Ford or a Chevy. Like, people just buy shirts all the time. Like you don't buy just, I bought my one shirt for the year. Like, people just buy apparel all the time. So, it's not just one or the other. It's both. It's whatever you resonate with.
And these will actually wear out, unlike the knives. You have the opportunity to sell them again.
Correct. We do a lot of repeat business when we launch new SKUs and new colors, and a lot of people buy it as gifts, honestly.
I think it's a great idea. So what's next for you? You got 3 companies. What's going to be the 4th? You're not done.
Yeah, I don't think I'm done. I'm one of those entrepreneurs that I'm not looking, but I'm open always. Yeah. So for us, we're doing some refining here at Branding Tools and changing our process on engraving. That's going to make a big difference. We're working on some of our infrastructure across the country. With Best Day, we're launching new SKUs and getting ready for the holiday season. And we're working with a PR company that, for example, last year got someone on Ellen as one of her 12 Days of Christmas. So we're really digging into what it is we do, and also not diminishing anything either. But, at the same time, what's the next one? I don't know. Would I guess engrave butter spreaders or t-shirts? No. So your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure it will be random and make no sense whatsoever, and at the same time work out perfectly, because finding that niche is important, because there's so many people that do the same thing, and they're in this really crowded market. And when we go out and we sell Cutco, for example, the reason that works so well is that people are already buying gifts, and our gifts just better. Yeah. There's not a lot of people out there competing with you in that space. Same thing with us in the t-shirt world. There's a lot of t-shirts for sale all the time, but there's only one Best Day of My Life, right? That we own that trademark. So, your guess is as great as mine. I don't know. But I am open to whatever, and it's a fun process. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. Something that I am great at as an entrepreneur is delegation and setting up systems, so I don't have to be involved running the business versus setting up the business. So, for example, Branding Tools here, it doesn't matter if I come here to work or not every day. The thing just runs, and that's important, because otherwise you would become a slave to your time. And the great equalizer for everybody is time, right? The poorest guy, the richest guy, they have the same amount of time in the day. but you don't get paid for time. You get paid for value you bring to the marketplace. Some people sell that as a hourly rate. Some people pay that for a result. So, being able to multiply time with others and systems and automation is really my specialty, and why I have been able to scale things up pretty big and have a pretty good life, because I have thousands of hours worked every week on behalf of me. And I make margin in there, and that scales out nicely. But setting up those systems and understanding, I think most entrepreneurs, and if you're listening to this right now, you're a solopreneur, right? It's just you. The biggest thing I can tell you is get out of your own way. This internal lie we tell ourselves that no one can do this as good as us, whatever task it is, tends to get people caught up, and then they hit this ceiling of time, and then they just work hours and hours and hours. And unfortunately, I've found people go down that road, and even when they start getting people on their team, it's so ingrained in who they are, then they can't break free of it. I have friends that make $500,000 a year, and they work day in and day out all the time because it's so ingrained in who they are that they aren't enjoying their life. Yeah. And it's so sad to me, because that's not the entrepreneurial dream. The entrepreneurial dream is to build something that continues to pay you, that you can be involved in as much or little as you want, hopefully as much as you enjoy, but at the same time, step away a little bit and enjoy life. Because, 50, 60 years, we're all dead, and who knows what happens after that. Some people think they do, some don't. I don't know. I've never been dead. But I know that for today, I'm going to live today as the best day of my life. I'm going to spend time with people that are important to me. I'm going to try to have fun. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to try to contribute. I'm going to do these other things. And the reason I'm able to do that is I've freed up my time. I'm not the slave to my time anymore. And that's really my personal key to success, because as soon as you figure out that, and you start getting things off your plate that should never have been on there in the first place, you really become kind of powerful in a way that you've taken power over your own existence, which is exciting.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. With clients will come to us. I'm a business owner. Are you a business owner, or does the business own you?
That's good.
Yeah. And I always like you were talking about niche. We talk about that a lot here, that there's it's not a coincidence that niche rhymes with rich.
Yes.
You gotta find your space, man. You gotta find it. So I know you're a big car guy. So what's on the shopping list? What's that next thing that you got your eye on?
My daily driver is a Bentley Flying Spur 4-door, and I really like the Mulsanne. So my guess is the Mulsanne is the next Bentley for me. I'm pretty happy with the Ferrari right now, but I may upgrade that to an F12 in a couple of years. I'm not sure.
Do the old ones leave, or does the garage just keep getting bigger?
Both. Like some leave, some don't. I'm a big fan. I have a lot of friends that have Ferraris and stuff, and a lot of them have like a dozen of them. They don't drive any of them. I'm a big fan of actually driving them. Yeah. So I drive them every single day. And, so I don't know. It's one of those things that is just ridiculous that I even have the opportunity to do that, I think. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure. Probably Bentley Mulsanne for that. It's kind of the next step. I think I'm too young for a Rolls, because I'm 37. I feel like that's someone that's like, you should be 45 before you're doing that with the umbrella in the door thing.
Grant Cardone has one.
Yeah, well, it's true. That's very true. He's a very interesting character. I like him a lot.
Yes, he is. You'll just have to kind of pimp it out to give it a kind of a young feel.
Absolutely. You got to do that. You got to do that. I got into motorcycling last year. I wanted to get into something new, and I always said I'd never do that. And so I went and I took like the class put on by the state where you drive the worst motorcycle ever made. And I never rode, but I went and took the class and I really liked it. So I immediately went and bought a super bike, which is not normally what you do. And I did that, and that was last year, and that was really fun. So I got a bike and I ride that, and I have another one coming. I got the Monster 25th anniversary that'll show up next month or something. But motorcycles has been fun. To me, it's the last sacred place is the motorcycle, because it used to be the airplane before the Wi-Fi was there, where you could just go somewhere and no one could get to you.
Yeah.
But now it's a motorcycle, because when you're riding, you just have to ride or you're dead. So there's no phone, there's no nothing. You just ride. If you get lost, you pull over and like look at your phone and figure out where you are. And it's to me, just a really cool place because you can just go and just be. And in our distracted world that's a hard thing to accomplish. So that's, I think, what I like most about riding bikes is just being able to disconnect forcefully, if you will, and just ride around.
Yeah, I actually took up motocross at age 40.
Okay.
And, yeah, okay. I just love, it was off road. You could, catch air. It was,
yeah.
I just loved it. I mean, I ride the street bike as well, but just something about the off-road bike. And, you touched on something that I think is really interesting too, is that, there's that book, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And I think so often, a great book, by the way, but we forget so often that it's that time to disconnect and really spend time planning, strategically thinking, and taking the time to disconnect, because I don't know about you, but some of my best thinking actually comes on airplanes when I'm not on the Wi-Fi.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of staring out, looking at the clouds and just being quieting things around me. And that's where so many great ideas flow to me. I do Ironmans and, a 7-hour bike ride. It's like, if you don't have any audio book going or something, I mean, you can get a lot of thinking in.
Yeah.
So, man, thanks a lot for coming on today. I know you've got a special offer for the audience. Tell us about it.
I do. So if you go to bestdayofmylife.com and use the code Thor at checkout, you're going to get 25% off whatever you want. Just our little thank you to your audience. And either way, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Best Day of My Life. And regardless, make every day your best day. It's the only one you really have. You can't change the past, and Lord knows if you get it tomorrow. So living intentionally and living today as the best day of your life is really the only way you should live. And I encourage everyone listening to do that, regardless of how good it is. I've found it, especially in America, we really don't have a great perspective, and we complain about things we shouldn't complain about. We complain about how thick the icing is on the cake, regardless of having the cake and eating it too. So, we're beyond blessed. If you can turn on your water in the morning and you have a roof over your head at night, you have it better than most everybody else in the world. So I encourage you all to keep that in perspective, stay positive, and have the best day of your life.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've always found that sometimes when the day doesn't exactly go the way we want it to go, and we think what we're having is a bad day or not a great day, sometimes it's just the universe or God just kind of nudging us back onto the track that we were intended to be, and we needed that little kick in the ass to, get put back on the path where those greatness and those great things are going to occur. So, man, love it. I believe that life happens for me, not to me, and love your brand, man. So glad that we got connected, and can't wait to see what you end up doing with this thing, because I think it's an amazing brand, and every time I look at it, every time I say it, it just brings a smile to my face, and that's something special.
Thank you so much, Thor. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks.